Okay, welcome to the Rugby League Outsiders set of 6, where we share 6 interesting news stories from around the world of rugby league. My name's Craig.
And my name's Karl, and on this week's show we'll be talking about the potential return of Yorkshire v Lancashire. We'll have a Southern Conference League roundup, and we'll also be talking to the head coach of the GB Pioneers, a team you may not have heard of, and they're going to be touring Montenegro.
Okay, welcome back to the Rugby League Outsiders. So we've had quite a milestone. Recently we've hit 1,000 subscribers, and I want to personally thank everybody that's hit that subscribe button. It means a hell of a lot to us, and it just lets us know that we're creating stuff that you want to watch and want to listen to. So how did you feel when we ticked over to that 1,000 subscribers, Karl?
Yeah, it was great, wasn't it? We flew past it as well. We'd been counting down to 1,000 subscribers for ages, and then all of a sudden we hit it and we went way past it in one go. And apologies, we didn't have a show last week. I had a tough out and I really couldn't speak, so that kind of did us in last week. But hey, we're back, ready to rock and roll.
It was an absolute dream that you couldn't speak last week. Anyway, so we're going to move on. Set of 6, and we're going to head down under. We don't often talk about the NRL and that kind of stuff, but this is a real interesting emerging story.
Yeah, and I'm going to nail this surname in one. Mark I've cocked it up, going.
You screwed it up. Okay. Nawaqanitawase. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. So he's been playing Australian Wallabies, star of rugby union, and he's switched over to rugby league. Really wants to test himself. He's also been playing Australia Sevens in the
Olympics.
In the Olympics, yeah. He's an absolute handful, this guy. If there's any player that you wanted to come from rugby union to rugby league, this guy is it. He's got speed to burn. I watched him in the Olympics. He was incredible. I've watched some highlights of him playing for the Wallabies, and look, the thing with this is it's a turning point as well. Rugby union players now are looking to come to rugby league. It's not going the other way, especially in the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah, I definitely see. I mean, he's 23, this lad. You know, to come at this early stage, he's not like an aging player that, you know what, I've done enough in rugby union, I'm going to try my hand rugby league. He's coming across when he's fresh and young, you know, to learn them skills, and it definitely feels like this guy is the vanguard of what could be a wave of rugby union talent. Let's face it, turn into a better sport.
Yeah, 100%. So he's signed for the Roosters, and by his own admission, he said, look, I've got to learn the sport. I've got to learn the game. It's going to take me time. But he's already been selected in the Roosters extended squad for last weekend. He didn't make the final squad, but he's already pushing it. He's played 2 games in the reserves. He's scored 2 absolutely incredible tries, and he's already knocking the door off Trent Robinson's side. So, yeah, it's really exciting to see people switching codes.
And just an exciting story, in a time when, you know, like we're a lot of stories are negative. You know, you look at like the news and everything, and the news that's coming out of rugby league this weekend, especially the Super League. You know, there's a lot of negativity, and, you know, referees are getting a bad rap, and all this kind of stuff's going on. People are questioning IMG. To have a positive story like this and something that piques interest. I mean, it takes me back to like Sonny Bill Williams going to Canada. You know what I mean? Like a massive story. Yeah. You know, so real good one to follow.
So his stats on his 2 games that he played in the reserve game, he scored 2 tries in 2 games, 12 tackle busts, 3 line breaks, and 8 offloads. 367 metres he made in 2 games.
It sounds like one of my games, that.
Oh, I feel specialist dive over from hooker.
Yeah, like half a metre. Yeah, and just a little note as well, obviously, a couple of players moving on from the Roosters lineup. You know, he really has got a good chance of cementing a spot there in the slot. Let's go again, Karl, on how you pronounce his name.
Nawaqanitawase.
Mate, you were nailing this offline every time.
Yeah, I know.
Right, this is the new challenge, isn't it? This is a new TikTok challenge. You've got to say this guy's name. Right, let's go again. Yeah, Nawaqanitawase.
Nawaqanitawase.
Say it again.
Mark Nawaqanitawase.
He nailed it. He nailed it. Right, let's before we make any more of a fool of ourselves, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Have we got any English names we can nail.
John Smith. Okay, moving on to tackle 2, a bit of GB Pioneer news. Now, this is a team that I've not heard of before, but you dug this story up, Karl. Glad you did, because it's a really interesting one.
Yeah, shout out to Mark Sloan for giving me a bit of tip here. Yeah, GB Pioneers are a university representative side who tour weird and wonderful places all around the world, developing rugby league. It's essentially a university select side, so it's the best of the best coming out of the university leagues each year, and they're going to Montenegro this year. They've played all over the world. Serbia, a lot of the
Eastern European,
Eastern European,
emerging.
Serbia, and then they've been to Ukraine and Russia and all those sort of places. Kazakhstan, as he says on the interview, and then we caught up with their head coach Keith Sandu.
I think the first place to start, Keith, is just to give us a bit of an idea of your role and what the GB Pioneers is about.
Yeah, well, I'm sort of one of the team managers here, so it's myself and a guy who takes that program at the moment. Also get involved with coaching the guys, so I've been head coach there for about 2 or 3 years as well. And I suppose what we do is it's quite a unique tour, really. So it's a Great Britain select team. The reason we pick that, we pick it from Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England, and we primarily aim at students. So think of it as a captain select / sort of talent ID select as well. So we might get some of the regional rep coaches recommending players to bring on the tour, but then conversely, we get the university, the student board will recommend lads as well to come across. So I suppose the main aim of the tour is we work with the International Federation Board, alongside obviously the RFL, the University Board, and we go out to emerging nations in essence and promote the game over there, but obviously, at the same time, we test their arm in terms of their performance on and off the pitch. So the Federation said that they've got a lot of interest in the African nations. So we went out to Ghana. Fantastic in terms of off the pitch. It was quite nicely set up, good facilities. And then obviously on the pitch, you just need a bit more coaching and contact time. So when we were out there, we had a couple of decent games. Then when we came back, we just recommended that they probably need a lot more coaching in terms of on the pitch. But in terms of the players and the physicality, they had it. And the cultural mindset, which is quite unique, I suppose, in every country, were there as well. So, yeah, I suppose, think of it, if I was going to say in a nutshell, it's, they're an ambassador for the game over there. We tend to be doing a first in terms of an international test for the opposing nation. And, and it's just generally a good experience for all. Yeah,
Keith, it sounds like an amazing experience, especially players who are going on there and the nations that you're going up to play against. Just give me a little bit of a history, if you know it. How long has the GB Pioneers been going, and when did it start?
Yeah, it was around 2005. Actually, I say around 2005. It was 2005, but yeah, they started off in Estonia as the first tour, and then they used. I mean, before that, there was something briefly went on with Russia at the time. But again, I think the politics of our rugby union ended up sort of crumbling. But yeah, 2005 Estonia, then we got the Czech Republic, 2006, and then obviously just went on through there. So, I mean, I'll run through some of the countries like Latvia, Ukraine, did Norway, did Kazakhstan, was a bit random, and then Greece, Poland, Morocco, which was a bit of an interesting experience. There was quite a lot of political influence in Morocco, just around getting a stamp to actually play a sport nationally there. We had Ghana, Bosnia, Hungary, Turkey, which was quite good. Actually, they were quite impressive in their team and set up there. And the most recent ones were Albania. And then we took a few years straight, simply COVID came about, and then there was another country we were going to try that we couldn't. And then this year we're looking at Montenegro. And I think a bit of the strategy there has always been almost build up a few of the Balkan teams, and they can almost run themselves within their own program. So, I
mean, obviously none of that happens without a bit of support, either from the universities or the RFL. I don't know. Like, who is your main backers, and do the universities understand the power of what you're doing there?
Yeah, it's a good question. That I think, firstly, our primary flag, I suppose, is the International Federation. So they will set a bit of the agenda. It used to be a guy called Danny Kazajian, who used to set up a lot of the strategy for what he's doing. It's Dave Butler at the moment. I think he looks after the England students program. So I would say that they're our primary flag, primary banner. Then with the University Rugby League, I suppose, board is. They get the program. It's a part of the talent ID pathway. So, like I said, some lads we've had from the get-go play on professionally. A lot of lads I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but they've ended up in Oz, playing at first grade over there and stuff as well. So it's worked on that front. But universities themselves, it's, I suppose, one of the big selection criteria, North, Middle, South. In the North, it's fine. You go to your Leeds Carnegies, as it's known now, Leeds Universities and Chef Allen. But you go further down, obviously I'm not saying the engagement is less, but the awareness of the game generally, it's Midlands, it's fine. There's a few decent teams around there. But as soon as you hit the South, the universities do see it as a big thing, but I think primarily from the students repping on a programme. I don't think they're necessarily aware around what we do exactly.
Yeah.
And I suppose the focus with it. So, but yeah, Oxford Brooks at the time were just starting off. I remember we were saying, like, look, let's select lads from there. So it's quite a good story for them. There's 3 lads selected on a representative programme. It's on and off the pitch sort of work. It was really good from their internal marketing. The university really engaged with it. They want to share that they had students representing a sport, and it's just helped them build a really strong platform to build from. And year on year, they've grown, really, and they continue to thrive now. Whereas I was saying one of the challenges with uni sport sometimes is in the South is you'll get a couple of good lads in, 2 or 3 years, they'll do fantastic. And once those boys graduate and move on, and the engagement can drop if you have the right people in place. So, backhandedly, I thought we look at some of those bits of the wider strategy internally as well.
Keith, just looking forward to the trip you've got to Montenegro. Then, what do you know about Montenegro and their team?
Not too much. I have a decent squad there, quite well established. The core skills will be there. It's just that expansive play. I think there'll be, I think it'll be a decent game for the boys and a good test. We are playing like the Balkan Select midweek, the Wednesday evening, from Serbia, Albania, Czech Republic, Croatia. Speaking honestly, I suppose I think that will be the tougher, more physical game than the Montenegro, more showcase game.
Yeah.
But I think the guys are still expecting a bit of a challenge in there, really. And again, conscious that we'll have students aged from 19 up to about 23, and you play against lads and blokes who are representing the country for the first time.
It's amazing. How can people watch the game, or is there somewhere they can follow along?
We'll have a live sort of feeder out on our Instagram, and we'll be putting our updates on there. There should be a little diary going on. Again, that's something when we get out there in Montenegro, we'll have set something up for people to watch.
Brilliant.
Yeah, cheers, Keith. Thanks for joining us, and I'd love to catch up with you after the tour if that's okay, and give us a bit of a rundown on how it went.
Yeah, all right. Cheers, fellas.
Cheers, Keith. All the best.
Take care, mate. Really interesting chat. Apologies for the breakdown of the line at a couple of points, but we've tried to clean it up as best we can. But yeah, I loved hearing this story. And to be honest, I always try and take the positives out of stuff. Definitely positive that they're touring Montenegro. I just wish we could replicate this for Ireland and Wales. You know what I mean? How do we nurture those emerging nations, if you like? Anyway, Keith, definitely dedicated. I'd love to be a student going on some of these tours. Can you imagine? Czech Republic. I remember I went there as a youngster.
Here we go. I'm going to say there's another stag do story coming here, isn't there?
Yeah, I've said that every great game is in a location where it'd be great for a stag do. We covered this for the Magic Weekend. Yeah, what did you take out of this story, Karl?
Just like you said, how exciting it is for these players. And but one thing I took away from it is that it's been going for years. I never really heard of it. So, but University Rugby League is coming more and more to the forefront now, and that's great. I love that. We're hearing more about it, and there's such great opportunities. And let's be honest, Rugby League suffers for money, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When you get these massive universities involved, and it's only going to be a positive thing, and the opportunities these lads are going to have is incredible. Great.
Yeah, and I wonder, what effect that has on attracting union players at the universities to give league a go, because they have a chance of, pulling on a Great Britain shirt.
Well, that's the reason that we need to be pushing forward with things like this, don't it? To rep rugby is huge, and if you can dangle that carrot in front of anybody, surely anybody who's going to want to put a Great Britain shirt on, and they're going to want to go and tour Montenegro or wherever, it's great.
Yeah, and the people there that, these are really close to our hearts. So they're picking players from Oxford University, Exeter, obviously, a good chunk from the Heartlands, Huddersfield, the Leeds.
Some lads from Loughborough as well going. Yeah. So, yeah, it's great.
Okay, so moving on to tackle 3, and we're going to do a little Southern Conference roundup.
Southern Conference, Midlands, yeah, sort of a bit of a roundup of all the stories we've been building up to this year, and we sort of reached the end of the line. So the West Warriors defeated Brixton Bulls in the Southern final this weekend, which was, I watched some of it actually. There was a stream online, so I managed to catch a bit of it. Didn't catch the whole game. West Warriors came from behind. They were 20 points down at one point. They came from behind and snatched the game from Brixton. It was incredibly aggressive game.
Was it?
Yeah, it was a great crowd there as well. Really, really noisy crowd. But yeah, it was a really physical encounter. That was the first thing I took away from it. They were knocking lumps out of each other in the sort of first 20 minutes. So West Warriors, it's West Warriors like academy side, I suppose. They've won the Southern League, and then in the Southern Conference League, sort of the tier above, you had Hammersmith ripped apart Bristol All Gold 64 points to 4, and West Warriors beat London Chargers 26 points to 8. So, as we predicted earlier on in the season, it'll be West Warriors versus Hammersmith Hills Hoist in the Southern Conference League final, and that takes place the same day as the Harry Jepson Cup, which we also know about. So Telford Raiders, this is a bit of a talking point actually. Telford Raiders got a bye in the semi-final this weekend. They were supposed to be playing Anglian Vipers, who couldn't raise a team for this, unfortunately. So they made it through to the final, and they will by default play Brixton because Wests can't be in. They can't be in this final because they're in the Southern Conference League final.
I mean, that's an interesting, thing to consider when like Anglian Vipers have made a bid for League One.
League One, yeah.
So that's a shit. Obviously, we spoke to Rob Humphreys there at Anglian Vipers, and you're saying that it's going to need a big overall. If they do go into League One, he's got to make some big changes there. But it's a shame they couldn't field the team there. I was really looking forward to that game. But I love the idea of Telford going back-to-back Harry Jepson finals. That's incredible.
Really exciting day of Rugby League coming up. Really exciting day of Rugby League. Yeah, mix of styles, and then essentially what is Australia versus New Zealand, the London edition, taking part in the Southern Conference League finals. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and I'll be going to that match. So, those two matches, we'll report back on that next week. Okay, let's move on. Anything else on that story, Cal?
No, I'll be in Italy, mate, while you're doing that.
Yeah, you'll be bobbing around Lake Como, and I'll be down there in the capital. So, all right, moving on to tackle number 4, and we thought it'd be really interesting to do a little bit of a comparison in the middle part of the Super League, Carl. What you got?
Yeah, so I've looked at the sort of middle. I was going to look at the middle 4, and then when I started analysing it, I actually thought, there's 5 teams that are still pushing for playoff places. So Salford, Lee, Catalan, Saints, and Leeds are all pushing for that middle section of playoff spaces. It's incredibly tight. There's not many points between a lot of the teams. So I'll go through the Super League table as it currently. So St Helens are currently in 4th. You would have thought they were safe, but if you look at the fixtures, potentially not. So they're sat on 28 points. Salford are in 5th, sat on 28 points. Lee Leopards have really been on a push the last few weeks. They've pushed their play itself into that final playoff spot. They're on 27 points. And then you got Catalan and Leeds both on 26 points. So I thought we'd look at the running of these teams and where we think they may pick up a win. But of form, just quickly, who do you think?
Well, can I just go a step back? So let's look at the top 3. They're obviously safe.
Nailed on.
And then there's no way of Huddersfield getting into.
No chance. They're only on 16 points.
Yeah, okay.
They're already mathematically out of the equation.
Yeah, so, all right. So they're kind of guaranteed. So you literally have got this middle 5, haven't you? Okay, so go on in. What was you saying?
Should we start on St Helens? Should we go work team by team and see how many wins we think they're going to pick up?
Yeah, I think so. And then we'll come up with like a bit of a prediction, a Rugby League Outsiders prediction for how we think it's gonna end up.
Right. So
I think St Helens is key because their first game there. Wrong. Yeah, well, yeah, their first game is an absolute belter against Warrington.
Yeah, and it's away. And Saints, okay, they did win this weekend, but they haven't looked great for, as we know, they've been sinking, they've been treading water for weeks now, and it doesn't really seem to be showing any signs of going in the right direction. Throw in the mix that Paul Wellens kind of threw his players under the bus last week, and he said, what did he say? He said something like, our senior players aren't performing or letting themselves down. And when you start hearing comments like that, it's like, has he lost the dressing room? Somebody made this comment to me in the week. Has he already lost that dressing room? So it doesn't look good going into these final few games. Anyway, looking at their fixtures then. So Warrington away, I don't think they'll win that.
No, I think that's a loss. I think we both agree on that.
And then they play Castleford at home and they play Lee away. Lee away, I don't think they'll win.
No.
Unless they get players back, I don't think they'll win. So it all boils down to that Castleford fixture.
100%. You know, I think that's the real key indicator of what everyone else needs to do as well. Because I think if they win that game, which they really need to,
that one is at home.
That will guarantee them a place in the playoffs.
Yeah, we're sort of looking 30 points, aren't we? I think you need to.
You've got 30 points, the magic number.
Yeah.
So that'll give them the 30 points, and that'll also dictate what the other teams need to do in order to be in with a chance.
So Castleford v Saints
must win.
What do you think? Castleford actually played. They've been getting better last few weeks, and they played well this week. Tex Hoy's playing really well at the minute.
On fire.
Yeah. So we'll go into more detail on that on our prediction show. But yeah, it's St Helens are borderline for me. I know that they're in the best situation. They're currently highest in the table, but I don't think they're safe yet.
I don't think they're safe. I think they'll win that Castleford game.
Right.
And I think it will set the standard for the rest of the teams below them in the league. But it really, really could go either way. If Castleford turn up on the day and St Helens have a bit of a shitter, they will lose it.
Yeah.
And convincingly lose it. So it's really key. They've got to be targeting that game.
Okay, shall we move on to Salford Red Devils then?
Yeah.
So Salford are on the same points as St Helens. They're currently on 28 points. They've got a worse points difference, so that's why they're sat beneath them. Salford, a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde team. We've been saying it all year, haven't they? Some weeks they're incredible, some weeks they're just nowhere near, and you don't know what team you got. So Salford's probably the hardest one out of all these sides to pick, I would say, because you don't know what you're going to get. So they're playing Catalan at home this weekend.
Yeah.
Then they've got Hull FC, which they will obviously win because Hull FC are barely even turning up these days. And then their final game is against Wigan, so that's quite a difficult one for them. But I could see them picking up 2 wins.
Yeah, I think 2 wins is key. I think if like we said, if Saints if they beat Castleford, then Salford need 2 wins. And I think I can see the 2 wins in Catalan and Hull. I don't think they're going to beat Wigan because Wigan ramp up to the end of the season. But I think they will finish with
St Helens. You think?
Yeah. I think they're going to be. Well, I mean, even if they win 1 game, they're still in that magic 30 points.
Yeah, so they'll beat Hull because everybody beats Hull. So. Yeah, you got to say that Salford are safe. They'll beat Hull and they'll potentially pick up a win of one of those other 2 fixtures.
Yeah, okay. All right. So we're going to move on then. So it's Catalan, wrong. No. Lee Leopards next at 6.
So Lee, the team who's probably run of form is the best.
Yeah, definitely momentum is with
out
them.
Of all these sides, yeah. The last few weeks have been incredible and... Fair play to them. They're making League Sports Villages turn into a bit of a fortress at the minute. And their whole season's been like that, League. They sort of started off really poor, didn't they?
Yeah.
Started building a little bit. Then they got loads of injuries, went down from there, and then slowly just got better and better as the season's gone. And they're actually peaking at this time of year. If anybody knows when you need a peak, it's a playoff time, isn't it? So, yeah, looking at their fixtures, they've got Castleford away. Then they've got Hull KR and then they've got Saints. I think they will beat Castleford.
Yeah.
I don't think they will beat Hull KR.
No.
And Saints, I think they could well beat Saints as well. That's at home. So that's such a difficult game for St Helens if they aren't safe by that point. Yeah,
I think I agree with you. I think they'll beat Castleford. I think they'll lose to Hull KR and I think they'll beat Saints. So
we're saying that'll potentially put them on 31 points.
Yeah,
so they could end up in potentially in 4th.
Yeah, they could. Yeah.
It's all to play for. Right, Catalan Dragons.
Yeah.
What do we say about Catalan Dragons this year? I mean, we talk about them on our prediction show, don't we, every week, and they're just not been what they were last season. I mean, we knew that with the players that were departing at the start of the year, and I don't see any evidence that. I certainly don't see any evidence that they'll get to a grand final this year. Absolutely none.
No, I don't. But let's talk about the playoffs, because when you look at their running, like they've got the easiest running in my opinion.
Yeah, they do.
So I think they've got a loss against Salford, and I think they'll pick up a win against London and a win against Hull FC. So that will give
They're
them.
currently on 26 points, so they'd finish on 30 points there.
Yeah.
So what we're saying here, as we're starting to build through this, points difference could be massive.
Oh, huge! Because you're going to end up with like 3 or 4 teams on 30 points.
Yeah, easily. I mean, there's bound to be some shocks coming amongst all this.
Well, I think London's got to win somewhere. They pushed Leeds to the absolute wire. At the weekend. So
I wouldn't be surprised if London go out with a bang and pick up a win towards the end of the season.
Just an interesting talking point, and this would be a great little clip to cut out. I'm a Leeds fan. I've always been a Leeds fan, right? And I found myself the weekend going, do you know what? Leeds, they don't, if what I was saying was like, going ahead of myself here, but I don't think Leeds are going to make it to the playoffs. Therefore, I want London to have a massive finish to the season. And I was kind of thinking, you know what, if London beat us, right, I'm happy. I'm happy with that. And what a strange place to be.
You've gone full circle now, haven't you? You've fully converted to being a rugby league outsider.
Exactly.
That's it. If you'd have said that 18 months ago, you'd have gone, no, I want Leeds to win.
Why I'll be drinking shandy next and bloody walking around in a Hawaiian shirt?
Well, you already drink sparkling water, mate, so...
That's because I'm posh, not because I'm a southerner. Right, okay, let's move on. So do we agree then that Catalan's got... Although they've got a weird run of form at the minute, they've got 2 wins there in London and Hull if they play the cards right.
Yeah, but they could beat Salford depending on which Salford turn up. So that one is the key there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I fancy London to pip them, and I fancy Salford to beat them. So I don't think Catalan are going to make it.
All right, okay. So moving on then. So we've done Saints, Salford, League, Catalan, over to Leeds then. So.
Yeah, so Leeds, what they're currently sat on 26 points, so they need to pick up at least 2 wins out of these 3 games. They've got... At least.
Yeah, at least. They need 3 wins.
Yeah, okay.
Without 3 wins, they're dead in the water.
Right,
because of everyone else's score.
Throw this in bin then, because there's no way Leeds are getting 3 wins against these teams. They'll beat Hull FC at home this weekend, convincingly.
Yeah.
And then they'll lose to Wigan, and then they'll lose to Hull KR.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if Catalan will make it. I do think Catalan will make it by proxy, because I don't think Leeds have got a chance, and that hurts my heart. You know what I mean? It's like someone's just taken the size 10 and kicked big square on in the knackers. But I think that's just the position we've put ourselves in. And, because Wigan are so strong. Hull KR are on fire. Hull FC, I don't know. Yeah, there's a win, but I think it stops there.
Right, so who are you picking then?
Okay, so mine are, I think, Saints, Salford, Lee and Catalan will be in the playoffs, order to be decided. And I don't think Leeds.
No,
are
you
gonna
can't
make
have
it.
Saints, Salford and Lee.
Why?
All right, so you think Catalan and Leeds are going to falter?
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. I think it rests with Catalan, because they've got the easier running. So well, there's no conclusion to this other than points difference is going to be absolutely huge. So looking at the teams then, who do you think is going to get the greater points difference? I know that's a very difficult question to answer. Which of those teams are likely to post the most points and concede the least?
I think Salford or Lee.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I can't see Saints picking up any big... Even if Saints win, I can't see them picking up any big wins. I think they'll scrape it.
Based on current form.
Based on form. Leeds they're gone. We're not talking about Leeds. Lee, so yeah. I mean, they've got Hulk. I think they'll rip Saints to pieces, and I think they'll pick up a decent win against Castleford. But yeah, I agree. I think Salford are the team that could potentially, if they're on form, they're the team that will post the biggest score deficit.
Well, all that is really interesting. It's going to be interesting watching it all unfold. Another interesting question is, so whoever gets into the playoffs, Do you think any of them could actually push for a grand final place?
No.
Agreed. Do you not want to spend a bit more time considering it?
No, just genuinely, I don't think. I think Warrington and Hull KR are absolute standout sides this year, and Wigan will always finish strong no matter where they're finishing the table. Interesting game this weekend, but we'll talk about that on our prediction show this weekend between Wigan and Hull KR. Should be an absolute belter, that one.
Okay, so we spent a bit of time comparing that middle five. So what's your take on it? Who do you think's going to make it into the playoffs? Be interesting to read your comments down below. All right, moving on to tackle number 5 and a little bit of shots fired from the Warrington camp.
Yeah, Sam Burgess was absolutely fuming this weekend with the Paul Vaughan red card. He went on Sky Sports after and he did the usual, you know, that thing where they say, I'm not going to say anything because I'm going to get fined. But it was an absolute disgrace. If people turn up to a grand final to watch that, it'd be absolutely embarrassing. Yeah, and he really unloaded without trying to unload. And you could really see the frustration in his face, and a lot of fans have backed him up. I suppose leads us to talk back again about head injuries and red cards and where the boundaries are set with the referees. I mean, what did you make of the challenge, first of all, the Paul Vaughan red card?
I don't think I know enough to say it was very bad. When you look at it, it looks like a kind of collision that happens in every game at every level 2 or 3 times a match.
Yeah.
I know we've got to protect it. I think Jamie Jones Buchanan's got a really balanced view on all this. It's like we've got to protect our players. However, we need to do it in a way that sort of doesn't kill the game. And I kind of agree with it. What I'd potentially like to see is, we know they have the gum shields with the accelerometers, and I know they don't have to wear it, do they, unless they get a head strike.
No.
But if they are wearing one of these special gum shields, I think it might be beneficial for the spectators to see the data, see the shock on the head, because I looked and I thought, yeah, all right, there's a bit of a bang there, but I don't think it's that severe, especially when you've got other players, reportedly, I didn't see it or hear it myself, saying, stay down, telling him to stay on the floor.
That's the bit I absolutely despise. I just hate it.
Yeah, so with the data, if we could show that, look, there's a significant impact to the head, then I think it'd be an easier pill to swallow. But personally, I certainly don't think it was a red card like everybody else.
Yeah.
Sam Burgess knows far more about rugby league than I do, so I agree. I'm not going to go against what he's saying. Yellow card. I think even a yellow card might have been too much. I think a penalty on the pitch. Let's move on.
There was definitely some collision with the head, and to the letter of the law, that's what we're trying to stamp out. But he had 2 other players in the tackle.
Yeah, they said no mitigating circumstances.
There was definitely mitigating circumstances. There were 2 other players in the tackle that moved the player as he came into tackle. So, I mean, I don't want to be getting to that stage of just firing shots at referees, because they're just following the letter of the law. But I don't think it was a red card. And actually, he did have a fair point. If that happened in a grand final and that tackle dictated the outcome of the grand final, we'd all be absolutely fuming, and it's not right. So they need to keep looking at it, I think.
Yeah, and then obviously they went on for a similar tackle in the Huddersfield Saints match where Fenton Rodgers, and I think this one was even softer, because I think the Paul Vaughan was definitely contact with the shoulder.
Yeah, his shoulder was there. Yeah.
Whereas Fenton Rodgers, it was sort of upper part of the arm. I thought it was the crook of the elbow at first, but definitely looks like the upper part of the arm. So I think this is even softer, but
I think
frustrating.
The thing for me is that there was no real malice in either challenge.
Well,
no, I don't think there was.
There's always a bit of malice in a tackle, isn't there? I know you're not going out to take someone's head off, but you can't be passive in a tackle. You've got to be aggressive.
True, but the Fenton Rodgers one, certainly, he was just going through the motions of making a tackle. There was nothing in that at all. And if we're losing players for those sort of challenges, we're in for a difficult couple of years, I think. I mean, I'm with you. We've said all year, we need to make the game safer. People don't want to be getting head injuries. It's lasting effects. But yeah, I think something's not quite right. I think maybe the laws need tweaking a little bit, I think. Yeah, well, hopefully something's got to be done. You know what I mean? There's too many eyes on this now. There's too many people getting slated. You know what I mean? For it to be, and people will kind of show
they'll vote with their feet and they just stop turning up, stop watching.
Yeah, it's not a healthy look for the sport either when the only thing that the fans are talking about is whether or not someone should or shouldn't have been sent off. And you're always going to get that debate, and we've had that debate forever in rugby league. But it seems at the minute that fans just generally are a bit lost with what's going on.
So let's say we take the frustration. Let's just park that for a second,
Yeah.
and we look at this idea that players are saying, stay down, to win that, so they know that the video ref's going to have a look at it, you know what I mean, and then make a decision based on like in retrospect. Like, what about that? Like, if there's any, what can we do to stamp that out?
Well, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? Players staying down. I can't stand it, and it is happening. 100% it's happening. I cannot stand it. If you go down because you've had a head injury and you stay down, you off the pitch, mate. That's the only way to sort it. So you get a substitution, but you get a blue card or whatever, a green card or whatever. And they should have to go off the pitch and have a head injury assessment, and they should be off the pitch for at least 20 minutes.
Yeah,
and then that's what they've started introducing in the NRL, and they've started to stamp it out. So I don't know why we aren't doing it. It's blatantly obvious that this is something that needs to happen. And if they did that, we'd have less players staying down, and therefore we'd have less stoppages in the game where the video referee's looking at a half challenge, I think.
Well, to be fair, the guy that Paul Vaughan nudged with his shoulder did go off, didn't he, for a head check? But something needs to be done there.
I don't think he did on the Fenton Rogers one, though.
No. Okay, as always, what's your view on this? This is a massive talking point in rugby league. A couple of things that I just want to put to you. First of all, the actual incident. Then this idea of players staying down. Two separate individual talking points then. Third, I'd like to know your take on Sam Burgess' comments to the press and see what you think about that. Let's get a conversation going, because this is a massive talking point in rugby league right now. Okay, so from that to what has been pitched as perhaps a bit of a saviour for rugby league in the Heartlands, and that is the return of the War of the Roses.
Yeah,
Camp.
so this is the Williams Weekly, and I think we discuss whether I generally think this is a good idea or a bad idea. Now, it shocked me a little bit, this did. So IMG have come in to save the sport and give it more international recognition and bring in sponsors. This was out of left field, this one was. The fact that they've suggested bringing back the War of the Roses, Yorkshire v Lancashire, I didn't expect it. I don't know if you did, first of all.
Well, I'll go a step further. Right, so the idea of growth in rugby league, right? How are we now at this point where we're talking about bringing back War of Roses, which kind of failed last time we tried it.
It did fail, yeah.
Right? For a couple of different reasons. We can get into that if you like. But then also on the verge of kicking out London from the Super League. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, how have we got here?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
I
know.
It just seems crackers. Like if you like my youngest lad, he knows nothing about rugby league, right? And I was explaining it to the weekend, and he was going, "But it just all sounds stupid," you know. And so he's a layman, doesn't understand like everything else that's going on around the game, and he think is like an outsider. He's just like, it doesn't even make sense.
So there were a couple of things that came to my attention when this sort of like press release came out. First of all, is the only way we can get this fixture in is we got to lose an international match, right? So England v France, that'll be off the cards next year. What happened?
But that weren't a success this year.
Yeah, this is the talking point, I suppose, isn't it? So, do you think we should have an international? Do you think we should keep trying with it? Do you think we should have home nations? Do you think is Lancashire versus England the best for the sport to get a strong England side together? Bearing in mind, this will leave Sean Wayne without a fixture, mid-season fixture, heading into a World Cup.
Do you know what I honestly think? I honestly think you could make any of this work.
Yeah.
Done well. Just pick one and do it. Let's do it well. I mean, the idea of the War of the Roses is very romantic, isn't it? Lancashire versus Yorkshire. You know what I mean? We can all get behind that because, you know, that's just the way we bred up north. Doesn't really include other parts of the country, you know, and those players. And we talked about, you know, could you have like a rest of the country team? And I don't think that'd really work because what they're actually playing for. So you either put a massive purse, a massive, you know, a bonus, win bonus up to attract the best players to make it an absolute spectacle, or you don't. You know what I mean? You don't do any of it.
And this was the problem with it before. The players didn't get paid enough money. There wasn't a big enough win bonus, if any, I don't think, available to the winners. So if you're a Super League player, do you want another fixture where you're just going to potentially pick up injuries when you're heading mid-season? I think is when they're looking at it. You're not going to want to do it, are you? It's not. It doesn't have that draw of that England shirt.
No, but and that's what I'm saying. So you need the biggest draw. You know what I mean? This is what I'm saying. Either of these can work, whether you do the War of the Roses route or you do the international route. They can both work, I think, but only if you 100% commit and do it incredibly well. So, you know, the War of the Roses, massive, attract the very best players. You know, even the likes of, you know, some of the best players that are in the NRL to come back and play in it or whatever, but big stars to make it a spectacle at the right venue, at the right time of year, you know, just brilliant entertainment. Similarly with the international, you can't have it on some fourth tier like internet streaming channel and expect the rugby league world to watch
as
it.
A curtain raiser to Featherstone v to lose.
No, exactly. This is what I'm talking about. So it does seem, it's just so romantic, this idea of the War of the Roses, isn't it? You know what I mean? It really is. As two proud Yorkshiremen, it is like, it would be brilliant to have a State of Origin-esque War of the Roses. We've tried it before, half-hearted or whatever, and it didn't work. So something different needs to happen. You know?
I think it needs to stay in the past. As much as there's part of me really wants to watch this.
Yeah, like a car crash.
Yeah. But I don't think it's... We're trying to be international, aren't we? We're trying to expand the game, and it seems like you're shrinking it back down to... It's Origins doing this, and like I said, there's loads of fans outside the heartlands. They've got no allegiance to it. However, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. If maybe if it did work, it would draw in a load of interest because we all watch State of Origin, don't we? And we've got no allegiance to Queensland or New South Wales.
You form an allegiance, don't you?
Yeah, but do you know what it needs? They need to pay somebody, backhander, first 5 minutes.
Adrian Morley.
Massive punch.
Take someone's head off.
Big brawl. Kicks off. And a load of bad blood between the two sides. The only way it's going to work. No. I know I'm like taking the piss when I'm saying that, but I genuinely think there needs to be some like real rivalry between the counties.
Well, when you compare it to like the State of Origin, I mean, that's how it was.
That's how State of Origin got kicked off. Yeah,
and they built this rivalry. They built, it means something. And both those teams, New South Wales, Queensland, they have an identity of what it means to play as part of that team. I don't know if the modern day game would afford the ability to create such a rivalry because of these, we've already spoke about these red cards and, the way that the game has gone this year. So
my other talking point in this, which I found fascinating by the statement that came out, is that they said they'd spoke to the clubs and the clubs were reluctant to give up a home game to allow this into the calendar. So therefore, the only way that it works is if you lose the mid-season international.
Or you do a pre-season or a post-season.
Yeah, but my point. My point is, why are they even asking the clubs?
Well,
no,
they won't release the players, will they? If they're not.
Yeah, but this is my point. They've got too much power.
The clubs.
Yeah, the clubs have got too much power. The IMG should be turning around and saying, "This is the plan. This is what we're doing because this is going to grow the game. We're still having an England international, and we're having a War of the Roses that's going to help pick the England side. And you haven't got a say in it. You're going to lose a home fixture." Because we don't need loop fixtures anyway. They should be telling them what's happening and not asking them and getting to vote on it.
Okay.
Because they're only going to vote for their own self-interest, aren't they?
Yeah, well,
they're not.
They've all got commercial interest, aren't they? They need to.
Yeah. This may bring in more financially beneficial to the whole sport. Don't give the clubs any. They shouldn't have a say.
Right. Just to finish it off. War of the Roses return, good or bad? One word.
Bad.
Okay.
Leave it in the past.
All right. Well, I.
You know what? We might as well bring the fucking Regal trophy back as well.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so that kind of wraps it up. Again, I'd love to hear your story. Now, if you want more from the Rugby League Outsiders, don't forget our prediction show every week. We go through the games that have gone and the games that are coming up. It's the only prediction video on the internet that counts, in our opinion. So tune in for that. Any final words, Karl?
Yeah, a friend of ours, Graham Berry, is doing another challenge. He's been raising money for MND Association for a number of years now. Craig, you better fill me in with what challenges he's done previously.
He's done a whole host of ultra marathons in different guises, one of which he ran from Wigan to Leeds along the canal, raised a ton of money. I think he's up to like £15,000 now.
£15,500. Yeah, so at the Leeds-Wigan game, he's going to be running around the Brick Community Stadium for 12 hours. Sounds absolutely crazy. But yeah, Graham, we wish you all the best. And the reason I'm giving this shout out is he's still raising money. The link is going to be at the bottom of our page. So if you can spare a few quid to help raise money for the MND Association, I'm sure Graham would be thankful for that.
Yeah, and if you're there at the game with Leeds and Wigan in a couple of weeks, then and you see him running around, then give him a few words of encouragement, chuck a couple of quid in his bucket, and say hello if you see us as well. I've got to say, 12 hours running around the stadium is a bit like recording an episode with you. So anyway, until next week, take care.